Hello viewers, and welcome to all my subscribers. Thank you so much. Welcome to all of you. I'm so happy to have you on board. Today I wanted to talk for a few minutes about music theory. I think if there's one thing that scares off beginning musicians more than anything, it's music theory, this thing called music theory, and we want to know, like, how much of it are we supposed to know? Do you need to know music theory to be a good musician? Do you need music theory to be a good guitarist? Do you need music theory to write good songs, to be a good songwriter? So I've actually taken a college-level music theory course. I watch a lot of, if you watch Rick Beato or Neely, they do a lot of music theory stuff. But my experience has been that music theory is kind of like math. Think of all the math you learned in your life and how much of it do you actually use. Right? Like once a year, the Internal Revenue Service makes us do a whole bunch of math, and the rest of the year, well, you get off pretty much without doing too much math. So, same thing. I think there's this much music theory, and the amount that I actually use is about this much. Let me give you a demonstration. This is basically music theory in a nutshell. We take a major chord, let's say G major. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then G. There's a chord associated with each one of those, like G major. Some of them will be major, some will be minor. So G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, and that one's a little out of tune. There is one more. It is not a major or minor, it's a diminished. An F sharp diminished. Oops. I'm going to do an F sharp diminished, something like this. Not only is that hard to do, but it sounds a little funky. So an F sharp diminished sounds something like this. Oops. That's not too clear. That's an F sharp diminished right there. I rarely use this chord ever in my own songs. Normally I'm going to resolve to something right below it, like an E, like from F sharp minor, or to an F, like. See how that resolves? That's about the only time. I'm going to stay on that diminished very, very briefly. So basically you have 3 majors, 3 minors in any key. In the key of G, it's G, C, D are the majors, A minor, B minor, and E minor. So when I'm writing a song, those are the 6 chords I'm going to stick to. And then there are rules for taking other chords that are not in that key. But for the most part, the idea is if you stick to those chords, any combination of these is going to sound right, no matter what order you put them in. So that's like 90% of the music theory you need to know, and it's like this much of all of music theory. So, for example, in the song All Year Round, The Devoted Hound All Year Round, that was a song that I wrote the chord progression for, and I wanted to do something really simple, just using those basic chords, the chord key of G. In fact, I only used 5. I used G, C, D, E minor, and A minor. And you might have also noticed, the astute watchers will notice, that's also the 5 chords of the cage system. C, A, G, E, and D. So I just kept it really simple. I kept the caged chords, and I just put them in different orders. So it starts out with like it goes to a 5th. I love a 5th, from G to a D. And then down to an A minor. And then that G to D down to the C, the 4th. That just kind of rocks back and forth between those. And the verse has a very classic G, D, E minor, and C. So I think the other thing you need to know is that these chords have numbers. So G would be 1, A minor is 2, B minor is 3, C is 4, D is 5, E minor is 6, and that 7th one is the funky diminished chord, what we don't talk about. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In this song, I'm using 1, the 1 chord, the 2, the A minor, the 4, the C, the 5, the D, and the 6 is the E minor. I love the 6. Everybody loves the 6. So a classic chord progression is going from 1, 5, 6, 4. And I use that throughout the course of that song. It's the most basic chord progression in pop music for the last 70 or so years. And that's it in a nutshell. That's what I know from music theory. I'm learning some other modes. There's modes like Dorian mode and Mixolydian mode. You'll, again, watch some of those other channels. You'll learn a whole bunch of that. But when I'm songwriting, 90% of it is knowing those chords. So the question is, does it make you a better songwriter? No. No, just knowing that does not make me I can still write really terrible songs, believe me. But what it does is it speeds up the process. When I'm going like this, like let's say I'm playing some, and I want to know where to go from there. Well, I know there's a B minor. So as long as I stick to those chords, it narrows down the options. Now you can always go out of that too. I could have gone and then back to a G. So sometimes you can step out of the key, but that is when you're getting a little more advanced. And for that, again, that's the next level of music theory. And the thing is, like a lot of songs you can write with just those major and minor. Now you're going to want to add in maybe some, maybe add some minor sevenths, stuff like that. Some seventh chords, definitely. Let's see how that sounds. That's a really nice progression. That's a really nice progression right there, isn't it? Wait, sorry. I was going to resolve the key. All right, so as to this other question, what about just being a musician or a guitarist? Do I need to know music theory? How much music theory do I use as a guitarist? I'd say very little. As far as playing, as being a musician, is if you are playing cover tunes and you need to learn the tune just by ear, just by hearing it. You just pick it up, and that's where music theory really helps. You will recognize the patterns. You go, oh, that was a fourth, that was an interval of a third, that was a minor, that was a seventh. You'll know what the chords sound like. You'll know what a D seventh sound like. So if you know if that's a D, and you hear another chord, you know that's G, and that must be A minor. Just the whole thing about being in that key again, you kind of guess what the next chord's going to be. I do almost exclusively original songs now, Devoted Hound songs and some of my own, but mostly Devoted Hound songs. We rarely do covers. Maybe I learn a cover once, twice, maybe 3 times a year. I don't use much music theory. I know my scales. I know minor scales and major scales. That's about it. Knowing the pentatonic scale is probably the one thing as a guitarist I would recommend anybody learn. It's the key to doing rock and roll leads, blue leads. So that's it in a nutshell, really. That's what I know about music theory. So overall, I'd say it's a good thing to know. Anything can help. It's good to know your scales. It's good to know how to count. It's good to know how to read music, but it's not required. Lots and lots of really good musicians cannot read music. Lots and lots of really good musicians don't know any music theory. So don't worry about it. I don't worry about it much. It's nice to have when you need it, but it's not required. All right, well, thanks for watching. That's it for this episode, Powie Professor. And leave me a comment. What do you think about music theory? Do you think I'm right? Do you think you need more music theory, or do you think you don't really need it at all? Let me know. I'm always open to ideas. This is just my opinion. This is just actually really based on my own experience. So, again, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Until next time, stay in tune.